Imagine you are standing in a very large, very quiet castle. Everything is made of stone and old wood. Usually when something big happens, there is a lot of noise. People might yell or there might be big news stories on the television. But sometimes the biggest changes happen in total silence. Think about a tiny piece of thread. It is thin and you can barely see it, but it holds two things together. Now imagine a pair of very sharp scissors. With one quick clip, that thread is gone forever. This is exactly what happened to the royal family. King Charles sat at his desk. He did not say a word. He held a pen in his hand. With one signature on a piece of paper, he cut the very last thread that connected Meghan to the royal world. For a long time, Meghan thought she still had a secret link to the king and his money. She thought that even if they were far apart, they were still family. But in 1 second, the king showed her that the link was broken. This was not just about money. It was about saying goodbye forever. Before we talk more about this big change, make sure you hit the subscribe button. We don't want you to miss any of the news about the king and his family. King Charles knew that the paper in front of him was very important. It was not a normal paper that he signed every day. It was not a note to say thank you or a plan to fix a room in the palace. It was a very serious paper called a financial severance order. In simple words, this paper said that the royal family would never give Meghan any more money. It also said she would not have special protection or help from the family anymore. This meant all the ways she used to get money or help from the king were now closed like a locked door. The king had old ways of helping his family with money, but he decided to stop all of them at once. He was told that he had to do this to protect the crown. Even though he knew it was the right thing to do, it still made him feel very sad. It is hard for a father to say no to his family, even when he is a king. When Meghan received the notice, she was all by herself. She looked at the words on the paper and did not say anything for a long time. The paper was very clear. It did not ask her to come and talk about it. It did not say they could meet later to figure things out. It did not leave any way for her to change the king's mind. Meghan thought there might be a little bit of a fight or some talking first. She thought they might be mean or cold, but she thought they would still talk to her. Instead, the paper felt like being told she could never come back home. She was very surprised and then she became very angry. She was angry because this choice did not just take away money. It took away the meaning of being part of the family. It told her that the king did not see any connection between her life and his royal world. The invisible bridge she thought was there had been knocked down. Charles read the last page of the paper 2 times before he signed his name. He took off his glasses and looked down at the desk. He stayed very still and it felt like the whole room was waiting for him. He did not look happy. He did not act like he had won a game. He was very serious. The people who work for the king had been looking at all the money links to Meghan for many weeks. They did this in secret. Only a few people knew that the paper was ready for the king to sign. Because it was a secret, Meghan's team was not ready for it. They were getting ready to have a big argument at a meeting, but there was no meeting. The king simply closed the door before they even got there. The silence after he signed the paper felt like he was telling her she was wrong. Someone in the family had told Charles to stop waiting. Someone believed that waiting too long was a sign of being weak, not a sign of being kind. Meghan was very shocked by what happened, but there was even more shock hidden inside the palace walls. The signature on the paper was just the start of the story. Behind that choice were many people who were hurt and had memories that did not heal. A royal choice is not just words on a page. Every line on that paper represents a face and a memory. For King Charles, this was about more than just a bank account. For Meghan, it was about more than just losing money. For Prince William, it was about making sure the royal family stayed strong for the future. And for Camilla, who was watching everything from inside the palace, she had a very simple and scary question. She wondered who would be blamed for all of this when the doors finally stayed shut. Charles felt a heavy weight on his shoulders, like a crown that no one else could see. He knew that the monarchy, which is the group that protects the royal family's jobs and rules, could not live on feelings alone. The king had spent many years trying to believe 2 different things at once. He knew Meghan had moved away, but her name was still part of every palace argument. It was like her name was a tiny match near dry wood that could start a fire at any time. Meghan believed that moving far away did not mean she lost her power. She thought she could still have influence and protection even if she lived in a different country. But her belief was not the same as the reality. The signature on the paper proved that the king had made a final choice. William was waiting outside his father's room. He thought very carefully about what he was going to say. He fixed his jacket, took a deep breath, and walked into the quiet room. The room felt very heavy, like there was a lot of sadness inside. His father, the king, did not look up right away. They both stayed quiet for a moment because they knew the truth. William believed that this choice should have happened a long time ago. He saw the money link as a weakness. To him, it was like a problem that could hurt the royal family for a long time. He wanted to make sure that when his children became leaders one day, they would not have to deal with these same problems. Meghan felt the shame of the situation in a very deep way. The paper did not just take away money. It told her she was no longer part of the special royal circle. She was not even on the edge of it anymore. She thought the palace would try to protect its image by being nice, but this felt much sharper. It felt like they were doing this to her on purpose. Meghan understood that now that the money was gone, the whole argument was different. She could no longer tell people that the family still needed her or that they were still supporting her in secret. The proof was gone. Camilla saw the tension growing inside the palace. She was worried about what would happen next. She knew that Meghan might get very angry and tell the world her side of the story. Camilla was afraid that old problems and mean things said in the past would come back again. One of the king's helpers warned him that the money link was a sign of weakness. He said that Meghan could use it in the future to start more arguments. The king listened to this warning very carefully. William listened too. They both knew the warning was important. The danger was not about how many dollars or pounds were being spent. The danger was about how people felt and what they might do. Charles had signed the paper and William agreed with him. Camilla knew a storm was coming, and Meghan felt the door slam right in her face. To understand why the king finally made this choice, we have to look back at a special moment from the past. Every big breakup in the palace starts with a small moment that people try to pretend was not a big deal. It might be a look someone gives across a dinner table or a sentence that is said too quietly. For Meghan and the king, that moment happened during a private dinner. This dinner was supposed to make everyone feel better and lower the temperature of the arguments, but instead of fixing things, the dinner was the spark that started the fire. It made Charles realize that he had to cut the final link. The dinner was at Clarence's house. This is a royal house where the family has private meetings. They chose this place because it feels more like a home and less like a cold office. They wanted to talk about the rules and what kind of help Meghan could still get. Charles wanted everything to be calm. He wanted to use soft words. Meghan wanted to be sure that even if she didn't work for the family, they would still take care of her. But during the middle of the dinner, things changed. Meghan put down her glass and asked a tough question. She asked if family loyalty ended when the palace found it annoying. She spoke softly, but the words were very strong. The king's face got very tight. He heard something in her voice that sounded like a warning, not just a question. Charles realized that the money was being used as a weapon. He saw that it wasn't just about helping a family member anymore. It was about power. Meghan felt very hurt when the king did not give her an answer right away. She expected him to say yes, but he stayed very quiet. He did not yell and he did not make any promises. This silence hurt her more than a big fight would have. She felt like the palace had already decided she was wrong before she even sat down to eat. She wanted to know the door was still open, but the king's quietness made the door feel like it was closing. Later, William found out what happened at the dinner. He read a report about it. He focused on one thing Meghan said. She said, "You cannot cut what the public still sees." These words worried the king's helpers. They thought she was saying she would use her fame to get what she wanted. William saw the danger very clearly. He knew that if the family kept giving her even a little bit of money, she would always tell people they were still connected. Charles wrote a note to himself after that dinner. He wrote that it was impossible to keep things the same. He said that being kind was being mistaken for being forced to help. Meghan left the dinner feeling like no one listened to her. Charles left feeling like he was caught in a trap. After that night, everyone knew the money link would eventually have to end. The big argument did not happen where everyone could see it. It happened behind closed doors. Meghan wanted to know why this was happening. Charles wanted it to be over. William wanted to protect the family before things got worse. When they all got together, the room felt very cold. Meghan held the paper in her hand. It was a formal letter that said the money support was over. The letter did not have any kind of warm feelings in it. It was very professional and cold. Meghan did not want to let them treat it like a simple office job. She wanted the king to say out loud that he was rejecting her. Charles sat very still. He agreed to talk to her one last time, not to change his mind, but to be a human being. Meghan told him that the choice felt like she was being pushed away in front of the whole world. She said the palace knew everyone would see it that way. Charles listened to her, but he looked very tired. He was acting like a king who had to make a hard rule, not just a father. Meghan kept talking because the silence felt mean. She said the monarchy had taken the last thread and snapped it. Charles finally spoke. He said that protection could not be used as a way to pressure the family. He said the family could not be a permanent way to get things from the crown. The crown is the word for the king's power and his job for the people. He said that his job was more important than personal feelings. When William walked into the room, he didn't say anything at first. Just being there was a big message. Meghan looked at him and knew that this was not just Charles's idea. It was William's idea too. William was not there to make her feel better. He was there to support the line his father had drawn in the sand. Charles looked at his son and they both agreed without saying a word. The king was the one feeling the sadness, but William was the one thinking about the future. Meghan saw that this choice would last a long time. The person who would be king after Charles also wanted the money to stop. There was no apology and no promise that things would get better. Meghan left with her letter. Charles stayed with his heavy choice, and William stood there as proof that the palace had a new rule. But even that hard conversation did not show everything. The choice to stop the money was made by many people. A king might sign the paper, but many other people help him decide. There were people who look at money, people who know the law, and other family members. They all saw the same danger. They saw that if the money kept going to Meghan, people would be confused. They would wonder if she still worked for the king. The king did not want the letter to sound mean. He even crossed out some words that were too sharp. He wanted to be firm but not cruel. Camilla saw how hard this was for Charles. She knew he wasn't just stopping the money. He was letting go of a part of his family history. He was giving up hope that things would get better one day. William's thoughts were very clear. He thought that royal money should only go to people who do royal work. He did not think people should get money just because they are in the family line if they aren't helping. He wanted to protect the crown for his own children. He didn't want them to have to deal with these same fights when they grow up. Sophie was also asked what she thought. She is known for being very calm and making good choices. She warned that if the king waited too long, it would only hurt more. She spoke in a kind way, like someone who knows how the palace works. She thought that doing things halfway would look weak. She also thought it would be mean to Meghan to give her hope if the answer was really going to be no. Charles went back to the paper and made the words a little bit softer. His hand shook a little bit when he gave the paper back. He changed the words, but he did not change the choice. William had drawn the line, Sophie had said it was time to act, and Camilla saw the pain on the king's face. But soft words did not stop the letter from being a big deal. As soon as Meghan got the news, things started to change. People were busy making plans and talking in secret. Meghan did not cry in public. Instead, she and her team started looking at every word on the paper. They wanted to see exactly what was being taken away. It wasn't just one payment, it was all the secret ways the family helped her. It was also a symbol. In the royal world, money means you belong. If you don't get money, you don't belong. It shows who the king likes and who he protects. Without that money, Meghan felt like she was on the outside looking in. Harry also read the paper. He was very quiet. He felt the pain even though the paper was mostly about Meghan. He knew that if the palace could cut her off so easily, it meant he was truly alone out there too. Meghan was very angry and kept asking why they didn't give her a warning. She thought they would talk to her first. Harry tried to stay calm, but he was also very upset. He knew the royal system had chosen to be clear instead of being comfortable. Meghan saw it as being kicked out. Harry saw it as another door being locked. The king told everyone in the palace to be very quiet about the news. He did not want anyone to act like they were happy about it. He wanted everyone to know it was a sad thing that had to happen. He didn't want people to think he was being mean. But soon the helpers found out that the paper did even more than they thought. It blocked Meghan from ever asking for emergency help in the future. This made the mood even more serious. Meghan saw a plan to push her away. Harry saw a final goodbye. Charles saw a rule that had to be followed. The most important moment happened in a private room between Charles and William. There were no helpers or notes. They had to decide if the family could handle this. Charles sat by the fire, not at a desk. He wanted to talk as a father, not just a king. William sat across from him. The money link was now gone for real. William knew that this choice changed things for Harry too. Every bit of help that was taken away made the wall between them taller. Charles admitted that he had waited a long time to sign the paper because he didn't want people to think he was leaving his son behind. He spoke with a lot of sadness. William listened to his father. But he said that the crown could not keep paying for these emotional fights. He said his children needed a clean start. He wasn't being mean, he was being a leader. He told his father that setting a rule is not the same as stopping your love. This helped the king feel a bit better. He understood that the future was more important than the past. He had cut the money linked to Meghan, and after talking to William, he knew why it was the right thing to do. They didn't celebrate. They just accepted that this was the way things had to be. The next morning, the whole world found out. It was like a giant earthquake in the news. The palace tried to keep their message short. They said it was about being clear with money and jobs. They wanted to show they were in control, but people who liked Meghan thought the king was being very cold. They thought the timing was bad. Every newspaper had a big story about it. One headline even said, "The final cut." It showed a picture of the palace gates being closed. A person on the news called it a financial divorce. This made the situation feel very real to everyone. Outside the palace, people started to gather. Some people thought the king did the right thing. Others thought it was sad for a family to act this way. One person said that this is what happens when a family is also a big government group. The loyal people thought Charles was doing his duty. The people who were unhappy thought he was being too tough. Meghan felt everyone judging her. Harry felt everyone judging his choices. The palace did not change its mind. Charles stayed firm. William stayed firm. Meghan became the face of the breakup. In the end, this was about what the monarchy could no longer carry. It was too heavy to keep having these fights. Charles chose the crown over a messy family link. William chose a clean future over a scary past. Meghan learned that being far away from the palace also means being far away from all the good things that come with it. The king understood that this choice was bigger than just one person. It was about showing the world what the royal family stands for. If you don't do the work, you don't get the support. It was a very clear boundary. Meghan put the paper away. She wasn't surprised anymore, but she felt different. She knew the palace would not help her anymore. There were no secret ways to get help if things got hard. The old connection was now just part of history books. She used to think she could have it both ways, but now she knew she couldn't. Charles stood alone and put the paper in a folder. He touched it for a second and felt the sadness of a father. He had reclaimed control, but it cost him a lot of happiness. William's plan for a smaller and tougher royal family was now real. He knew some people would think he was mean, but he wanted to protect his kids. Harry saw that life outside the palace was now a hard line. The money was gone, the control was back with the king, and the future was set. The door that had been halfway open for a long time was now finally closed. Thank you for watching our story today. Please remember to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We will see you in the next one to talk more about what is happening in the world of the king and his family.